Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Flip Weekly podcast. My name is Matt. I am your host, and this is a podcast all about reselling. We go to thrift stores, we go to garage sales, we go to Facebook Marketplace. We find things that we can make a bit of money on. Now we got a doozy this week, man. We have a killer Facebook Marketplace find that was absolutely soured by this seller's comments. I have to get into this later because it's been bugging me all week. We're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about a Lifeline find that I knew nothing about. I asked a friend, Foulmouth Flipper, he's going to make a very short appearance in this podcast episode to explain away this Lifeline find. We got a massive $40 into $600 sale. We have a hell of a lot more. Let's get into it, man. It's going to be a bit sour to start off with. I'm really sorry, but we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this Facebook Marketplace find that just didn't sit right with me. And even now, I haven't listed these items up. Granted, it's for a different reason, but it just doesn't sit right with me. So let's just get into it. Before I talk about this encounter, you would read the podcast headline. You know what it's about. I just want to quickly mention that I have the Apple laptop that I talked to you last week about, the G3 clamshell. I got that back from the repair shop and I've listed it up on eBay for a bit of fun. 7-day auction, 99-cent starting price, free shipping. It needs to sell for at least like $30-40 for me to break even on the shipping alone after eBay fees. I'm going to keep you up to date with what's going on with that. I listed it last night at like 7 o'clock at night, right? And it's already up to $102.50 with 5 bids. Less than 24 hours this thing's been up and it's already up to $102. It'll be interesting to see what it ends at. You know, you can buy this fixed price parts only for, I think it's like $200-300. We're up to $100 already. Maybe that's what it'll end at. I've sort of like just forgotten about the $200 that I paid for it. You know, I was hoping I could get this fixed. It's not going to get fixed. So let's just give it away for parts. I mean, if it sold for $20, I don't really care, to be honest. I'm moving on to bigger and better things. And I don't want something that's just parts only sitting around for weeks at a time, you know, just taking up space. Get rid of it. 7 days it will be gone. I don't care. But now, let me talk to you about this Facebook Marketplace pickup. I love Facebook Marketplace. I really do. It's probably the one source where you know that on a weekend you're going to get something good. You can easily turn like $100 into like $1,000. You know, you go to a thrift store. You can do that at a thrift store. I have one that I want to talk about soon, not today, but soon, which is going to be at least $3 into $1,000 from a Vinnie's. But I have other plans for that. Facebook Marketplace, I love it. I love it, but not when this happens, right? So I saw this deal on, was it Saturday? Saturday night. Amazing deal, but the seller just completely ruined it. So the Saturday evening was here. I was out all of the day. I think I was out all of the afternoon. Like I always do, I came home, I sat down to relax, and I opened up Facebook Marketplace, found this listing. You know, such a bad habit that I have to do this. You know, come home and open up Marketplace just so I can go out again. But I'd been out all that day. Last thing I wanted to do was travel for a deal. But I saw this listing. It was a Sega Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. That's what the listing title was. It was priced at $200. It was listed 2 hours ago. And from the photos, it was complete in box. The boxes looked amazing. I mean, one of them looked amazing. The Super Nintendo looked amazing. Had 2 controllers on the inside. The console itself was a bit yellow, but the box on that was immaculate, right? The Sega Mega Drive only had 1 controller. The box was a tiny bit beat up, but still in displayable condition, I guess. And because it was still listed after, 2 hours, I thought, I'm never going to get this, but I'm going to shoot my shot anyway. Like, why is it still up after 2 hours when this price is unbeatable? $100 for each console, $200 in total. These things comp up way more than that. I know if I bought these for $200, I could list them the next day for like combined 500, 600, maybe a bit more, and it would probably sell very, very quickly. I mean, if I listed them both up for $400, that would be a same day deal. Now, when it comes to video games on Marketplace, if you aren't first within like the first 10 to 20 minutes, you're going to miss out on the best stuff. Nothing that is good or worthwhile sticks around for more than like 30 minutes or so, depending on how reactive and responsive the seller is. For something to be there at 2 hours, something is wrong, right? You know, I saw a Nintendo 3DS XL bundle on Marketplace over the weekend. It was like $150. It came with games plus the console. It was easily worth over $500. They wanted peanuts for it. It was marked as pending within 30 minutes. I'm not even kidding. I saw it at like the 11-minute mark, and I quickly looked up one of the games, which I really shouldn't have. You can't do that. And by the time I came back, it was marked as pending. You know, things move fast on Facebook Marketplace, especially for the most brutal category video games. So again, reiterate, if something's there for longer than an hour or two, something's up, right? It's either not worth money or, I mean, a myriad of reasons, right? If it's been there for days, it's not a good deal, okay? If it's been there for days, it means people like me, hundreds of people have looked at it and thought there's not enough money to be made from this, or it's too expensive, not enough meat on the bones, right? So when I messaged him asking if it's available, and he responded saying, yes, Matthew, at the moment, lots of interest. After 2 hours, this guy has a lot of interest, and for some reason is responding to me now. I'm like, this is weird. So I send back a message saying like, I bet, are you in this area? Obviously, I mentioned what area he was in, because on maps, if they don't say where the pickup location is, you can see the little map underneath the listing, and it gives you like a broad area. So I just said, you know, are you in this area? I told him I'm in my suburb and I can come out right now if he wants to let it go. He responded with what his suburb was, and I was like, yeah, okay, nice. Happy to pop out now if you're free. And then I reiterated that I am from my suburb and it's not too far. And he's like, I'm cool with that. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? He said there's a lot of interest, but I'm okay to come out and get it. If there's so much interest, why haven't you sold it already? It's been 2 hours. This is weird. Insanely cheap price, been listed for 2 hours, and it's available for me? What? This is so weird. So I head on out there. It's about 30 minutes from my place. I get out $200 cash. It's dark at this point. I enter this guy's driveway. The driveway is legit like 200 meters off the main road, which is, you can tell you're out of Sydney, right? Or you're out of like the sort of area that I'm in, Sydney, sort of like CBD. Not CBD, Sydney City, right? 15 minutes from the CBD. So it's dark. I'm going down the driveway. It's one of those places where, you know, they've got a fireplace. They have a massive front yard. This is an area where, you know, you're destined to see like a couple of cows on the side of the road, you know, not something that you would see where I am, right? And the bloke meets me out the front. He's like this older bloke, long beard, long tattoos, that's not a thing. Tattoos on his arm. He invites me inside, which is fine. And then he says to me he's going to shut the door because the fire's going. And internally, I'm like, you know, alarm bells ringing. This is a very good way to, you know, get robbed or get beaten up or worse, right? But he's an old man. He shows me the items. They're sitting on the table. Sega Mega Drive, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Everything looks great. You know, he pulls out the SNES from the box. Amazing condition. The styrofoam inside is good, which is a weird thing to say, right? But collectors, they value all of the insides of these consoles. Like I said before, the console's a bit yellowed from the age, which is normal, but it has those two controllers, so everything's fine. And then we go over to the Sega Mega Drive. We have the controller, we have the console, we have the power adapter, the box, the inserts. And while I'm looking at this, I just know that it's going to get a lot of attention online, right? Because after all, these are retro video game consoles, and the presentation It's extremely important. Anyway, so I'm inside this place for about 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, I learned that the seller is not a gamer. His wife, or I guess sister, I don't know, comes out and she tells me that they've been cleaning up his brother's place and he's trying to get a bit of coin for his stuff, right? So I ask him if he's been getting a lot of attention, right? I know internally, of course, it would be. And he says to me, since listing the item, he received approximately 70 messages. And that's a lot. That's a lot of messages, especially when there's just a random one from me come in. Like, I'm going to be the 71st message and you're going to choose the 71st person. Then we started to talk about, or I asked the question, you know, like, why me? Like, why are you selling it to me? And he says to me, I saw Matthew from Sydney, not Habibi from Blacktown. And then the wife immediately says, like, you can't say that. And then the guy says, I'll say whatever I want in my house. I'm just standing there all awkward, like, okay, I need to leave. You know, this is my cue to leave. He was like, one of those wanted to come around at 10 p.m. at night. I'm not letting you in my house at 10 p.m. at night. I don't want to say anything, you know. I'm inside this bloke's house with the door shut. I don't know who he is. This is just a stranger. Granted, he is an old man, you know, maybe around 60, you know, shorter than me, white guy. But I'm thinking, like, I don't want to, I mean, I was shocked at that moment, you know. I'm thinking, like, I don't want to be hearing this. If somebody says something like this around me, I don't want to just let it go by, because in a way I feel if you let other people speak like this around you, you're complicit in a way, right? But then I think my self-preservation was higher than my need to call out this guy for saying something that I thought was, you know, disrespectful and discriminatory. So I just got the stuff and I left. But I couldn't help thinking on the drive home that I should have said something, you know, like, if you're hearing this sort of stuff, you need to tell people that it's not okay to talk like this in front of you. You know, just because we share the same skin color doesn't mean that I have the same views as you. I don't mind, like, selling other people with different skin colors items. It's just, it's unusual, and it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong, right? And so this deal is just sour. I got the deal essentially because this person didn't want to sell it to a person of color within the area. That's literally why I got the deal. Like, that just feels wrong, right? Like, I can't go back and say anything, right? I can't do that. I can't send this guy a message. What am I, like, I can't do anything now except, I guess, explain that, I don't know, this was just wrong, man. Nobody listening to this is one of these people, right? One of these disrespectful, discriminatory people. I hope, at least, you know, preaching to the choir type thing. But I feel like I just need to express it because I don't feel like I did, like, the right thing by saying something to this bloke. You know, I just let it slide, let this guy think that, I mean, essentially what I was doing by not saying anything, I'm letting this guy think that I have a problem with quote unquote Habibi from Blacktown, you know? So I don't know, what would you do in that situation? Do you say something to the person? You're inside their home, the door is shut, you have no idea who they are, it's late at night, you're a long way away from the road. Not that makes a difference, you know. If you're going to get murdered or something's going to go wrong, you can get murdered like 10 meters from the road. Just because you're 200 meters from the road, it doesn't matter. But yeah, what would you have done? Would you have said something? Would you have just left? You know, taken your money and leave? It would have been a good lesson. You know, don't speak like this. You were going to get $200 for this, and now you're not going to. Maybe that's what I should have done. I should have done that. Yeah. It's just honestly just, it makes me so angry that people still talk like this in 2026. You know, we are in the most multicultural country in the world, right? I would estimate that, from my Facebook Marketplace deals, from my pickups, from my sales, every second person is a person of color, And imagine not selling to somebody just because they have a different colored skin. It's just, grow up, man. Don't live in the 60s or the 70s. It's not, I agree with the wife. It's not okay to say that. It is not okay to discriminate people based on their skin color. This is just common sense, people. This is not even a hot take. This is just, it sounds performative, don't discriminate based on someone's skin color. But it needs to be said, and I wish that I said something. Maybe I think that's why I'm expressing this to you now, because I wish that I said something. I wish I just put these things back down, took my money and left. I guess in a way I am sort of disappointed in myself for not saying anything, don't say that in front of me, off. Don't talk to me like I agree with your stupid racist views. You don't know if I have, friends in Blacktown named Habibi, and you're just saying that you're discriminating against them. You don't know what the my views are, and you're going to assume because I have the same skin color that I'm going to be the same racist piece of like you are. It's honestly, it makes me infuriated. It's not okay, man. It honestly is not okay. This guy. This guy. Anyway, the people that you meet on Facebook Marketplace, I swear to God, if this happens again, I'm going to say something, because it's just not okay. And even days later, I'm still thinking about it, and I'm feeling disappointed. I would have much rather said to you today, I was going to get this insane deal, but he said something racist, so I put it down, I left. That's what I should have done. Anyway, so I got the two things. Let's move on. I was getting a bit emotional there. You have to do some beeps. I've been beeping out swear words or cutting them out, trying to keep things a bit more family friendly here. But seriously, move on. The two consoles. This racist piece of shit said they're untested. Yeah, probably because his dumb is stuck in the 80s and can't work out how to use modern technology. Things can change, don't they, bro? Anyway, they're untested. They didn't have the modern cables, the converters. Both these things need modern day converters, but that's fine. One of them didn't have a power adapter. The SNES didn't have a power adapter. So I need to buy 3 new cables. So I need to buy an AV cable for the SNES. I need to buy the power cable for the SNES. And I need to buy the AV cables for the Sega Mega Drive. Usually I just duck up to the Gamesman, which is in Penshurst, probably about 35-40 minutes away from me, to buy the retro video game sort of cables. But I looked on their website, they didn't have the power adapter in store, so I'd just be getting 2 cables. Instead, I just jumped onto eBay and I bought them. They cost me $40. So my total cost of goods for these two things is $40.85, and a bit of mental headspace. And because those cables haven't arrived yet, they're not listed on eBay. I'm going to put them up on eBay for $400 each and $300 each on Marketplace, meaning this deal is going to turn into $240 into $800. They're video game consoles, so they're boxed too, so they're going to move quickly. It's just a matter of getting them listed up once I have these cables. I think they're supposed to come sometime this week, maybe next week, we'll see. But yeah, that was the first encounter of the week. And then we move on. We're going into Lifeline, and I came across something that I don't see every day. Something that the thrift store employees wouldn't see every day. They were comic books, but they had these gold foil on the front of them. They were marked at $4 each. So I went and had a closer look, and these things, you need to really, turn them into the light to see what the titles are. That's what the gold foil does to them. They're hard to read, the covers. We had 4 comic books from Marvel's Age of Apocalypse. Now, these are from 1995, and they're all these gold variant. Now, I don't know anything about comic books, but they caught my attention. And I'm thinking well, why are they gold? You think of gold, you think super special or super expensive. And I thought, what's the deal? I don't know anything about them. I'm going to contact somebody that I know that has a huge comic book and graphic novel collection, somebody that has a YouTube presence too. I'm going to contact Foulmouth Flipper and just ask him, what is the deal with these things? Are they worth any money? Can you please just like explain what they are to me? So I'm going to include a couple of clips here of Foulmouth Flipper explaining what these comics are. First of all, I asked him, what his thoughts are on what we've picked up here.
So what it is, basically, looking at, without seeing the barcodes on the back, they look like thin, single issue comics, right? So if you think of like in the movies, the kid goes down to the comic book store and it's like a thin, one of those flimsy ones, right? It's a single issue. Now when they release those, they have the first printing, right? And it has like a standard cover. And then, people buy the volume, issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue 4 as the story progresses through the arc, right? And if there's, a particularly significant event, like just, I'm making this up, but let's say, it's a Batman, Superman comic and Superman kills Batman. Or it's like the first appearance of, a certain character or something big happens in it that makes that specific issue valuable, then they'll go through and do a reprint run. And when they do that, the covers have variants. So the story and the guts, the inside, the pages, everything is exactly the same. It's just that the cover is different. Sometimes they have like an artist that had nothing to do with it draw up his own cover, right? Sometimes they do these like gold or silver foil variants. Sometimes they put them in blind bags, so you don't know, like, oh, there's like 6 different covers. Which one will you get? One of them is super rare. Haha. That's basically what it is. So what you've got here, these are gold variant.
Now, when it comes to single issue comics, here's what he had to say.
When it comes to single issue comics, it's really just kind of luck of the draw. The question is basically, did you find an issue that has some importance, right? That's basically it. That's why a lot of the random issues that you can pick up are worth next to nothing, because they don't. But if you do find one that has a particularly important story arc or piece of a story arc or material or character in it, then they're the ones that go for a decent amount of money.
Now, when it comes to comics in general of what you should be looking out for, this is what he had to say.
The ones that are a lot easier to buy and move on in terms of reselling are collected editions. So instead of issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, you get volume 1, which collects like issues 1 through 6. And then volume 2 collects 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, blah, blah, blah. They're the paperback ones. Then there's like compendiums, which are considerably larger. There's omnibuses, which traditionally are in like a hardcover format. And essentially they're collecting a lot more of the story for a bigger price.
So thank you to Foulmouth Flipper for explaining comics to me like I'm a fucking idiot, which I am. Essentially what I've learned here is that the single issue comics, they're generally not worth a lot of money. The variants can vary, but the most valuable ones, they're the collected issues that come in the omnibuses and the compendiums. And that's, I think, what I've always thought. If we find an omnibus out at a thrift store, garage sale, we're always buying them. We know that once the issues are collected in those omnibuses and compendiums, they make us some good money. I think we've sold them in the past. So will I be picking up comic books in the future if they're single issue? Probably not. I know that thrift stores are going to overvalue them. However, these gold variants, these specific ones that I've found, we paid $4 each, $16 in total. Sold comps are between $100 and $150. So yeah, I'll buy these. I've put them up on eBay for $150. Will they sell? Won't they sell? I don't know. Really the first single issue comics that I've ever sold. Let's just see what happens, okay? But then we move on to something that I do know more about. I was in Savers and I found this 2017 Canterbury Bulldogs alternate jersey Savers just wanted $7.49 for it, which I thought was unusual because this is easily worth like a couple of $100. And the funny thing is though, it was almost directly next to this other jersey, which was double the price, but worth about half of what the Bulldogs one was. It was $16.99 for a Sydney Kings NBL jersey. I couldn't work out the exact year, but I narrowed it down to between 2017 and 2019. Now, the Sydney Kings, they're my favorite basketball team. They're my local basketball team. I've seen them play. Their regular jersey is like a yellow and purple, sort of similar to the Lakers jersey. Given this one is black and gold, it's obviously an alternate jersey, and it should get me around $100. It might take until September when the season restarts, but either way, we paid $24.48 for 2 articles of clothing, and they should turn into $300. So $25 into $300. Now, I was on my way back home from Savers. I made a pit stop, and out of habit, I opened up Facebook Marketplace. I'm on this app constantly, man. I'm always opening up Facebook Marketplace looking for deals. Even if I can't jump in the car and go and get them, for some reason, it's just out of habit. I just pick it up my phone and just open Facebook Marketplace. Probably my number one most opened app. I don't know if there's data to see what the number one most open app is, but I reckon it would be mine. Either that or DoorDash, am I right? Anyway, I saw a listing for Inspector Rex, a Cop's Best Friend complete set for $10. You know, seasons 1 to 8 for $10. I've always had it in my head that Inspector Rex on DVD is one of those insanely valuable television shows to find, sort of like A Country Practice, which is $1,800 for series 1 to 14, or The Prisoner Cell Block H, which is $500 for the complete series. When I saw complete set, $10 and Inspector Rex, I just sent her a quick message and I told the lady, you know, I'm in the area right now. I can be there in like 10 minutes and I can pay you $10. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. However, when I got home, I looked online. The show ran for 18 seasons. It's not a complete set. I got 8 seasons. The show ran for 10 seasons in Austria, and then for some reason the show ran for 8 seasons in Rome. So if you're going to hunt this show, you want to find the complete series of either or both. There's really no point in finding 1 or 2 seasons. It's just not worth it. Because sold comps for this, the Italian series, you know, the Rome series, whatever, 11 to 18 seasons, $115. The original series 1 to 10 goes for $138. You know, I was disappointed looking at the comps because I always thought Inspector Rex was a really good DVD. But only having 1 to 8 seasons, at least we have them in sequential order. I've priced them up $100 free post. Would I buy this again if I see it? No. Would I have bought this if I was at home and then I needed to get in the car to drive out to it? No, I wouldn't have. Not for this price. But then again, it's $10 into 100. Whatever, right? Another Facebook Marketplace deal that I found. I'm hunting for valuable items, right? I love finding variations of these common items. You know, if it's those jerseys that I was talking about, if it's a one-off special design, like an alternate, yes, I'm going to buy it. This is a PlayStation 2 controller, but it's not a regular PlayStation 2 controller. It was factory sealed, and it was a Nickelodeon SpongeBob. It has SpongeBob's face on the controller. It's bright yellow. This thing is so cool. You'll have to go to flipweekly.com to check out the photos. But this is like one of the coolest licensing deals from 2004. I paid up for it, and it's going to sound like a lot of money. I paid $150 for this factory sealed PlayStation 2 controller. But you look at the sold listings, $518, $315. I'm going to try and double my money on this novelty PlayStation 2 controller. Like, I had listed it up. I would have tried to get the full $500, but the controller's plastic has a bit of yellow on it, and that brings down the price. You know, quality definitely matters when it comes to something like this, especially if it's never going to be taken out of the package. So I've listed this up for $300 on eBay, trying to double my money on something really cool and unusual. I'd never seen this before. That's why I jumped onto it. Let's move on to what I sold. We're going to talk about what I love to find, right? Like, there's not much that I do love, to be honest. Like, I don't like long walks on the beach. I don't want to take a holiday. I'd rather stay at home. I'm not going to go hiking. You know, you're joking if you suggest that, right? What do I love? I love my $100 books. Inject them directly into my veins, please. Savers wanted just $3.49 for a book called The Adventures of Herge. Now, I don't know if that's pronounced Herge or Herg. He was the creator of Tintin. Now, we know that Tintin has a huge collector's market. So you combine that with the fact we have a hardcover book here, complete with the dust jacket. It's in good condition. We asked for $150 on eBay, $100 on Marketplace, and we have sold it on Marketplace for $100. Now, it wasn't that fast. It was a 7-month turnaround time, which is not ideal. I should have really gone back in and looked at why it hadn't moved before. I most likely overpriced this thing, especially on Marketplace. Like, you think today, if I put something on eBay for $150, in most cases, it's on Marketplace for $50, maybe $75, if I think it'll get a lot of attention. But regardless, we have turned $3.49 into $100. Next, the biggest sale of the week. It came via Facebook Marketplace, and I am glad it's leaving. This item on eBay had over 100 watches. It had 2 of those in carts, but Facebook came out ahead. Now, I picked this up before the end of 2025. I think it was like a couple of days before the end of the year. We have a sale for the Hannah Montana CRT TV and DVD combo. I paid $40 for this thing. I beat out a whole host of other people who were going to get it. I don't know why. I hope it isn't the same reason why I beat out everyone else for that video game bundle earlier. It sold for $600 in cold hard cash. $600. Now, the cash isn't cold because I left it in the magic freezer. This woman came and collected. Lovely young woman. She drove 40 minutes to collect it. She said she was building out room for her newborn daughter. You know, I thought that was cute. A whole bunch of nostalgic toys, and now this CRT TV. I thought it was cute, you know. She did say she was on maternity leave, though, so I'm thinking baby is, what, a couple of months old, and she's getting a TV already. It's going to be a while before she can watch DVDs on this TV. Anyway, the idea is cute. Like, I've seen videos on social media of parents putting out, these parents putting VHS tapes and the players in kids' playrooms, you know. It's a way for parents to know exactly what it is their kids are watching, and you also get to relive your childhood, right? Like, I do this for my niece and nephew. Every Christmas, every birthday, random drop in when I go and see them, I'm giving them like some 90s toy that brings back some memories. Do they really care that much about them? No, they're kids. We do this more for ourselves, right? Like, although it's an expensive gift for ourselves, there's no guarantees the kids are going to look after it. Like, the first time I gave my niece a 90s Polly Pocket, she immediately stepped on it. Like, not accidentally, like, she didn't trip. She purposely decided to stand on the roof of this miniature house. Like, all right, there it goes. There goes that vintage 90s Polly Pocket right under her giant foot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The next item, we had a 4-day turnaround to turn $40 into $200. This was a Sydney Swans 2021 Pride jersey. I saw it on Marketplace for $30, and I asked if the dude would ship it, and he said yes. He did ship it for $10. That's how easy it was to get this deal shipped directly to us. It had the GPS pouch, with which the guy obviously didn't know about or didn't see, but we turned that $40 into $200 in 4 days. I didn't even have to go out for it. I didn't have to thrift for it. I didn't have to, you know, drive out to get it. Literally delivered to my door. That was so easy, that deal. Now, I know that these jerseys aren't exciting, but what do I do when it's this fast and this easy? You know, I do get a kick out of picking up the different years, the styles, the colors, and I think that's all that matters, because speaking of jerseys, less than 7-day turnaround for that NRL jersey that Savers decided was worthless. We picked it up for $7.49 for that Canterbury Bulldogs 2017 alternate jersey. The alternate jersey is always going to be slightly different than the team's home and away colors. Teams only wear it for certain games, and it is sold for $200. $7.49 into $200 in less than 7 days. Now, you might be thinking, but Matt, I don't know anything about NRL. I can't replicate this success. I ignore you whenever you talk about jerseys. Dude, there's literally like 17 teams in the NRL. All you have to do is familiarize yourself with them, and soon enough you'll be able to find and resell these kinds of things. Like if I was trying to teach somebody, and I know I've said this a million times, here's where I'd start. First of all, familiarize yourself with the teams. There's only 17 of them. Second, look into the history of the logos, right? The NRL's logo and the team's logo. And then become comfortable in identifying the fakes. Now, if you already resell clothes, you're a step ahead, right? And that's it. That's really it. Do that, hit the op shops, and you can make this sort of money. And, once you get past that, if you've mastered it, you can level up. You can have more knowledge than other people. You can start to research the clubs that no longer exist. And that can really help you because the people in the back of thrift stores, they're going to know, for example, the Sydney Swans or the Brisbane Broncos. But when they see a team they've never seen before because it doesn't exist today, it can get put out thinking that it's like a low value local team. That's where you come in, scoop it up, and make hundreds of dollars. Now, there's so many different ways you can level up in that jersey reselling game. Like, there's just so much money to be made in it. Moving on. Now, what if I told you we could buy a whole bundle of 90s toys extremely cheap and sell them over the upcoming months with each sale generating close to $100? Well, that's what we did with the goddamn Polly Pockets. This thing, man, if you take a look at it, it's the tiniest bit of plastic. It's an RV, it's a doll, it's a bicycle. It's sold for $80. Like the buyer sent me a message asking if I was missing any pieces, and I replied that it was missing the canoe. And then a few minutes later, the dude or the chick just bought it. I guess they didn't care too much about the canoe. They didn't even try to get a discount. Like that's unusual, right? That's not the regular eBay buyer that I know and loathe. After that, we had another cheeky sale on Marketplace. It was Hellboy Volume 1. It was $15 Vinny's Find. It's turned into $50 via Facebook Marketplace. Look, this was just a hardcover graphic novel. It's always going to get my attention. It was listed up on eBay for $100 since June, so not that long ago, and it didn't take long to sell for that, discounted price on Facebook Marketplace. Now, not a sale, a quick update on the negative feedback that I received. I have not responded to it yet. I have not received the item back yet. He has not actually put it in the post. Now, I don't know what the go is because I have my feedback response ready to go. I want to respond to my feedback so buyers can see what actually happened, but there has not been a tracking number uploaded yet. Now, if I go back to see when, how long this guy's got until it can, how long has he got until the 31st of July? So yeah, nothing yet. 31st of July, that is not this Friday, next Friday. If he hasn't sent it back by then, I guess he's decided to keep it. Or he's decided that the damage wasn't that big of a deal and he was able to get the discs out of the slots, because in the comments in the return, he literally says, damaged on arrival, discs don't even remove from slots, which obviously isn't true. They come out, they're just DVDs. So maybe he will keep it. Maybe he just can't be bothered to post it, which I get that because I am also a lazy. So we will see. Another thing, we are getting closer and closer to not announcing, but me telling you about what will be my biggest flip of all time. I can't tell you yet. There are still moving parts between now and August, the end of August. But after that, I'm going to tell you about my biggest flip of all time. I've been documenting the entire journey, right? I'm already up to like 5,000 words and there's still so much more to go. This isn't something that has been completed. It's currently in progress. You might be able to get some information from that. The most exciting part is still to come, but I am very, very excited to tell you about it. You're going to see photos, you're going to see videos, you're going to hear me excited, you're going to hear me talking all about it. If you think back to all of my flips so far, think of the biggest ones that we've had. This week we had Hannah Montana, $600. It blows it out of the water. What else have we had? We've had the Sonic books, $1,600. Blows it out of the water. What else have we had? We had the Goosebumps. Blows that out of the water. Do you remember the Goosebumps? That was $100 into, I think it was like $4,000 in revenue. That's better than that, right? I cannot wait to tell you about it. You're going to just have to keep listening. I know I'm like teasing it, and I know that, you want to know more about it, or I hope that you want to know more about it, but it's very exciting. And when I can tell you about it, you're going to get every little detail. I've written 5,000 words already, and we haven't even gotten halfway through it. So when that podcast comes out, I imagine it's going to be just a dedicated 1 hour special. Right? It's going to be like my Netflix special. It's not a Netflix special. It's going to be like that. It's going to be my, comedians, they go to their clubs, they work on the material, and then they have their Netflix special if they're lucky. This is going to be my big one, right? So I'm excited about that. I have so much more to tell you. I have some fines. The Vinny's fine, $3 into over $1,000, but I can't tell you about it yet because I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it in terms of content-wise. But look, thank you for listening to Flip Weekly. That's all I've got for you this week. Make sure you follow us on social media. I appreciate all of your support. I'll see you again next week.
Flip, 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 flip.
Flip Weekly.